Governor Bonnie is not able to be with us today, and she wishes everybody well and hopes that everybody is doing well. Our theme for the next biennium, as you can see, is I put this up because you're the new presidents. You have started as of June 1st, you have changed over your presidency. Zonta International changes after convention in mid-July. But next year's is transition, changes, and new opportunities accomplished through teamwork. Just as an overview for membership and communication in the next biennium, it is a change for you to be in this leadership position, and it's also a transition from one leadership position to the next, from one biennium to the next. So we hope that we can make this change and into our transition to be well. Some of the communications that we will continue is to check out the e-news that comes through our communications team at the district level. They have every couple of weeks, it seems that they do send out important information. That's where you get the governor's newsletters, where Governor Bonnie has her newsletters that she sends out, and then important information about like the workshops, e-learning, the D4 reading group, whatever's, you know, information that needs to go out. We are also asking you as president, so we can streamline the communication. Most of you are the new presidents or vice presidents, and we are asking you to send your 2020-2021 membership roster to communications team. Sandra Kronk is one of the people, and Trish will be, Taylor will be the two that will be working on this. It's important that we have your information updated, roster, and email list. So when it comes to the e-news that are sent out, that all your membership members in your club will get that information. We'll be working for more, to have more communication between the club and the district. That line of communication is important, that the presidents are it's the club presidents. You will be meeting with your area directors, who is part of your club. There's usually 5 to 6 clubs that the area director has. Will be meeting with the presidents. The area director is the liaison for the elected board. So if you do have a lot of times communication will come down from Zonta International to the district level, and you will hear some of that information from your area directors. So when you see your area director's name, please respond to the email, open it. I know it's hard with a lot of people do get a lot of emails, and but it's important that we have that communication so everybody is on the same page for communications. For the club and District 4 relationship, the district's made up of all the District 4 members from clubs in our district. The District 4 leadership with the elected board and committee chairs and committee members. We are all here for you as the president for the clubs. We value the clubs in the district. We value that relationship. And as part of accomplishing our teamwork, we hope that in the next biennium, just to increase our relationship, to have a positive relationship between the clubs and the district, so that you know that we are here for you as a president, as a club member. That the district has a lot of people involved that have certain talents. There's talents from everywhere. And we're here to support you and your club needs. We just need to know what you need. We need to know what you need from us. We need to know what your club needs help with. As a club president, your first line will be your area director. So please, if you're having trouble in your clubs, or you're having trouble maybe doing fundraising or a service project, if you let your area director know, she will, if she cannot get the answer or does not have the answer, she will go to someone on the district level to find out and help and support you. Your resources are your District 4 board and your Zonta International and District 4 websites. The communications team has worked hard for the website for our District 4. It's continuing to be evolved. Committees will have information like a service committee, communications committee. They will have information for you on our District 4 website. So it's important that you go to those websites to look for the information.
Janice, just a quick piece right here. We just had a quick question, and that is the membership at large can communicate or contact district communications at the following email address, which is communications with an S at district4.org. So that's an email, or by contacting Kat, who does the social media, as you said, Sandra Kronk, and Trish and myself. So any one of those individuals can direct you, and go to our website, which is www.district4.org, I think. I should know that. And I don't. Sorry. I always get them confused between orgs and .com. And I can't bring it up because I've got my website up. So anyway, .com, .org. Org? Yes, I hear from Lori. It's .org, who's been nice enough to make sure we've got that. So those are two ways that you can contact communications. Sorry to interrupt, Janice.
No, not a problem. Not a problem. The membership chair is the lieutenant governor for the district, and that's my current position is membership chair. Sheena Poole is going to be, she's lieutenant governor elect, so she will be the membership chair for the next biennium. She also has a membership committee that is forming that will help to talk about membership in the district, things that are working, things that aren't, changes. So she will have a team that you will, when the biennium starts, that you will hear from who those members are, and you'll be able to contact, Sheena with any questions or, help. I just want to reinforce that we're here to support you, that we work for you. We are the elected board. The committee chairs are appointed, but we are here for you. We have the resources. There's many resources out there for the talents of the members in District 4. And there's a lot that we can offer your club and leadership. We can provide types of training. We can provide programming through the different committees. We have Kathleen Douglas, who is the on leadership development at the international level, and she is the leadership development for the district. So we have a lot of talents. Lori is also on that committee, and so we have a lot to offer if you reach out to us. We don't always know the help that you need unless you ask us or tell us. So that's important, that we want to be here for you, and we want to build a strong relationship between the clubs and the district. We also need, just to remind that we do need to know what you need from us. If there's something that we're not, that you need help with or support, please let us know so we can do that for you. Real quick on membership updates. We are asking the club presidents to send in to your area directors the committee chairs, your committee chairs' names and emails, like your service advocacy membership chairs and their emails, so that the district committee chairs in their committee, when they have information on their committee, for example, service, they can send that information to your club, so your club has the information and everybody is up to date on what's new and available. There is a D4 President's Guide that has been revised, and that will be coming out from the District 4 after convention to all the presidents. I did send you the Zonta International information with the club, the president companion that you have with you for today. We also, for the reading group, we encourage you and your clubs to participate in the District 4 reading group. It's a very relaxed setting. We do read a book, discuss, we do have some questions, just to get the conversation going. It's very relaxed. If you started the book and you didn't finish, you're still welcome to join. I'm sure you'll still gain something from the conversation, but we encourage you to do that. The books that we read are Zonta International, just lost the word. They're relevant to Zonta International and what we believe in. On July 22nd, we are having a District 4 Treasurers Finance workshop in an e-learning situation like this, that I encourage you to have your treasurers participate in. It will be with Carol Spedding, who is a finance chair of the district. We will have a membership e-learning on August 15th with Sheena Poole, and she'll be discussing things on membership. So I encourage you to have your membership chair participate in that. And as always in these e-learnings, anybody in the district is invited, encouraged to attend, because I'm sure there's something that something new that you will learn. There were several Zonta talks that were sent out from Zonta International yesterday, and they were they're all for June, and they're talking about service awards, domestic violence, mental challenges, and on finances. The finance one is June 30th. And that is important. I encourage you to have your delegates of your club listen in on that on June 30th, because they will be reviewing the finances of Zonta International. And I think that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, now for what we've been waiting for is from past Governor Lori Robinson is here to speak with us on Be the Leader You Want to Follow, and with presidents and leadership training. Lori has been a Zontian for more than 20 years. She was district governor in 2016-18, and that's when I was an area director. She's also served on Zonta International as the Z and Golden Z Club committees. She's been Lieutenant Governor, Area Director. She served as co-chair on the District of Amelia Earhart Fellowship Committee. She's also been on the nominating committee this biennium and the Zonta International Foundation Ambassador. She's semi-retired. She has worked in the Human Resources, Health and Safety Manager, and had some part-time faculty member at Sheraton Institute of Technology and Advanced Learning. She has been on many fundraising committees in her community and helped to raise a large amounts of money for Canada. She lives in Brampton, lived in the Caledon area with her husband, Gary, and has 2 adult sons. We welcome her and thank her. I thank you for doing this presentation for us and to help the district with the presidents for the and leadership in the next biennium and moving forward.
Oh, thank you, Janice. I'm thrilled to be here, but a couple of things I'd like you to know ahead of time is I've been asked to do this presentation, be the leader you want to follow. And I have to confess, you know, I'm still a work in progress. I learn something new every day, every week about being a leader, not just in Zonta, but in my community, in my church, and even at home. One of the things I want you all to know right off the top is Sheena is going to post this PowerPoint presentation, so you will be able to access pieces of this to reuse, and please reuse. Here at the Leadership Development Committee, when we do work, we like to share it. So please feel free to use it and make it your own. So you're here today because you want to be a great leader, great president of your club. So congratulations for taking the first step in investing in you. And throughout this presentation, you're going to realize that if you don't invest in you and be the best you that you can be, you're not any good to anybody else. So you have to, particularly in these times, look after you and take advantage of this time to learn and to put your best foot forward. You know, reinforce how to become a successful leader, to improve communication, make better decisions, and conflict management. You want to gain insight in creating a healthy and productive club. These are all great tools, and I have to tell you, when Lieutenant Governor Janice or Governor-elect Janice asked me to do this, I told her that all those topics were probably each a 2-hour workshop. So what I'm going to do is show you where to find this information and how you can reach out, as Governor-elect Janice has said, to the skills that are available here in the district. So knowing where to find the answer sometimes is just as important as knowing what the answers are. Next slide. You know, this is a PowerPoint that's going to be divided into two parts, actually. We're going to talk about leadership, and then we're going to talk about all the tools and tips. But I wanted you to remember and reinforce that you're not alone. There are great women in our district that you can rely on and ask information. You know, I am really blessed. You see this beautiful photo. This is a photo taken at the North American Interdistrict meeting in Minneapolis. And if you've never been to an interdistrict meeting, put the next one in Cincinnati, which is going to be next July, on your calendar. This is where you meet and exchange ideas with great women. I am truly blessed. This is the District 4 picture along with the then President, Maria Jose, the incoming President, Sonia, and you can see some smiling D4 faces there. There's now two international presidents, 3 past governors, past international committee chairs, members of international committees, and strong D4 leaders. And I could tell you that if I was in a pinch, I could email or phone any of them and they would help. So these are the types of relationships that you learn to develop in Zonda. Unfortunately, can you see that little redhead spot at the very back behind President Sonia? That's a great mentor who's actually mentoring from heaven. Doreen was a member of the Zonda Club of Stratford, who was very active in the D4 board. So these are the things that you need to do and develop as president. And we're going to have some opportunities in workshops and conventions and conferences really soon, I promise. I promise this isn't going to last forever. Next slide. What I'd like you to do right now is take a minute and think, what would be the joys of taking leadership? And what are your challenges? What are your fears? And just take a minute, and if you have a pen, just write them down or just mentally think about what it is that you're hoping to get out of this session this morning. And if something is really bothering you as far as a challenge or worry, please put it in the chat box. And we'll make sure that we get to it for the end of by the end of the session.
So Lori, we do have a question that maybe you just can clarify. Maybe clarifying leadership roster, AD club presidents, VPs, etc. So Kate had this question. Maybe if she needs to clarify that what she's looking for a little bit more, maybe she can unmute and ask the question.
Go ahead, Kate.
Thanks. I was just kind of wondering, you know, we know who we voted in for the board at our last district conference, but in terms of all the presidents in my own area, I don't know who all the presidents and vice presidents are. So maybe if we could get a roster with emails and phone numbers of the D4 leadership and all of our club presidents, that would be helpful.
Janice, I'm going to turn that question over to you.
That roster information will be going out. The District 4 roster is complete with the different committees on the elected board and committee chairs. I am missing a couple of the club presidents that we will be sending that information out. Right now, it's a little confusing with the incoming, outgoing board. Your ADs are, for this current biennium, are still being the ones in contact with the club presidents, where the other ones are moving forward. The area directors for the 2020-2022 biennium we have been meeting for some online training, and they will be contacting the new presidents that are in their area. So you will be getting that information in July. So you will have all that information.
Great, thanks for your question, Kate. And later on, we're going to also show you how you can go in and pull out a roster for our district on your own as well. Next slide. So we have no questions in the chat box. So keep those things in mind, because I want to make sure that we answer everything that you have. These are some of the things that I have looked at through different leadership books. I am going to share my readings at the end of the session. We'll have them up. But someone that I have learned to respect dearly, his name is Lance Secretan. He lives here in Ontario, but he does his leadership development in Colorado. He is a wealth of information. The name of his book is actually called The Bellwether Effect, and it's inspiring leaders. You know, stop following leaders, but be an inspired leader. You know, in Donta, we have to be focused on a members base because we need to be result oriented and display sound judgment. I just want you to know that the most important thing that you're going to do in the next biennium as president is be the cheerleader for your club. Truly, it's going to be your number one priority. You are going to get all the information from district and from international that you are going to have to make sure that the members of your club have. So this information will come down through the proper channels and protocol to presidents from area directors from district from international, and the protocol. So that's the chain of command, and go get them, because here we go. You have to know that with influence comes for responsibility, a call to leadership, a strong sense of self-awareness, and a desire for constant personal development is essential. You must bring out the best in yourself before you can bring out the best in your team, which is your club. And as a leader, you want to be watched and followed. So be careful what you put on Twitter and Facebook. Make sure that you are picking your words and postings properly. Be careful, because when you put it out there, you are going to be followed. And there's a fine balance of showing your authentic self and rants. So I'm going to give you an example of a Twitter rant. Recently posted by a fellow owl, which was one of the governors in my biennium, who went on and on about a social issue in her country. And unfortunately, that became the demise of her leadership value. And that might have been her personal thought, and she was showing her authentic self, but she was a leader and it did not bode well. And she was asked to step down because of that. So you want to make sure that you are putting your best foot forward at all times. We're going to go through these things involving others, thinking outside the box, be open to new ideas, and ask for help. As Governor-elect Janice has said, there's so much here that we can share with you. You've seen these types of leaders before. The boss who's always in charge, my way or the highway, talks more, listens less, they put down, they judge. And then you've come across a boss that's probably been the wimp, you know, self-guessing all the time. Whatever you think, I'm sorry. And then we have backstabbers. You know, I was only kidding, or don't tell anyone, but, you know, these are the sorts of things that are happening behind the scenes. People that say, well, aren't you special? And the eye roll and the body language and that. And then we have the leaders. They say, tell us what you want. Let us work together. How can I help you? What else do we need? I'm open. They're going to use words of us, we, together, collaborative, not me, not I. This is what we need to do to build consensus and what's going to work for the majority. So I want you to take a look at that bottom picture, because that's the picture of our current leadership team. I want you to consider the skills of a leader. You've got to have great communication. And I'm going to show you on our website later where you can learn how to communicate better. Excellent interpersonal skills, treating others with courtesy, sensitivity, and respect, and valuing each person's uniqueness. And that is a talent and a skill. good communication skills to write clear in a concise manner, convincing oral presentations, listening for clarity, and asking for direction. Listening is one of the most important skills that you're going to need to hone. And I always have to remind myself, I have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And that's because I should listen twice as much as I should talk. As a great leader, high ethics, to be fair, honest, and have a consistent behavior. Dedication to lifelong learning is so important. Boss, they drive people. Leaders coach people. Bosses depend on authority. A leader depends on goodwill. A boss inspires fear. A leader inspires enthusiasm. A boss says, I. Leaders say we. The boss fixes the blame on the breakdown. The leader looks for ways to fix the breakdown. A boss says go. A leader says let's go. And that's a quote from my friend Lance Secretarian's book, The Bellwether Effect. One of the things you're going to really have to look for in moving your club forward is to look at the culture. Define the culture of your club. Are you working together with shared attitude, values, and goals? Do you practice that can characterize the institution and the mission and vision of Zonta? Is everything that you do in the mission and vision of Zonta? These shared values have a strong influence on the people and the organization and how they perform. We are all in Zonta because we are passionate. We're passionate because of the mission, we're passionate because of the vision, or we're passionate because of both. And when you have a number of passionate women or individuals together in any team, because we do have some clubs that have men, that's where we have to make sure that we're cheerleading everyone in the right direction. So you have to think about what kind of culture you want in your club. How do you know if there needs to be a culture change? What kind of conversations do you need to have? And what kind of activities do you have to do to make sure that you have buy-in from all the members of your team moving forward in the right direction? There's different workshops and leadership development that we need to go through. That is the main goal. You must be able to describe your culture to people. You know, we can't recruit if we don't know what we're recruiting for. We need to provide coaching and mentoring, and there's all kinds of programs that we'll go through. Shared best practices, and that's what we're going to do today and moving forward in the next biennium. I know that the current leadership team for D4 want to share best practices. And by having a chair for leadership development, we know that making leaders a priority and supporting leaders at every level in our district and in Zonta is important. One of the things that we've learned in Zonta is that there's working assumptions. So these are the working assumptions for Zonta. We've often have different opinions, but we need to be open and welcome and critique the ideas and not the person. If we always feel the same way, then we would have no way of development and no good results. So we need to listen to each other's opinions. And that is why it goes back to the why and why you did Zonta. And I know in our district, we've done numerous workshops on why did you join Zonta. You see, fundamentally, we all have passion. And that's why we're here with Zonta. We as leaders need to know and remember that as a group, we need to critique the ideas and not the person. Probably we need to consider good source of rules of engagement that will be appropriate for all our committees. As a leader, you're going to learn that there are sources of team conflict. Everyone has a different work style. And we have to go through and figure out why all these things cause us conflict. On the Zonta e-learning, there is actually a YouTube video on conflict. That's really great and worth your time. See that caution flag up there? That caution? I know that when I get feedback or see body language, non-engagement, that's the caution flag for me. Caution signs on the road. That means that my communication or lack of communication hasn't been seen by everyone. Those are caution signs. As a leader, you need to take a step back and make sure that everyone has the same information and understands that what your communication has been. Those caution signs are for me to slow down and take stock of the people that I'm trying to get or rally or cheerlead. People are judged by knowledge which is built on attitude, values, and history, and that it can be a source of conflict. Understanding and giving each person a voice and an understanding in your discussions at your club or committee levels will only enhance the trust that they have in you and in the process that they've been heard. Now, we all know that not all solutions will work for all members, but we must be able to build a consensus that does work. In the trainings of the International Leadership Team, the consensus needs to be a win-win. If it's seen as a win-lose, then that's where personalities and hard feelings come. And that's a hard thing sometimes to do. If I send a request for a project that needs to be done on a Friday, and I get frustrated over the weekend because you haven't answered my email, and I didn't know that you were going to be around this weekend, I've not set us up for a good relationship. We need to be able to communicate on all levels what our expectations are. So moving forward, if you have a board that you're working with and there is an agenda that needs to go out, set the expectations. You need to make sure that everyone is on the same page when it comes to what is expected, because those are the things that cause the greatest conflict. If I'm working on a area director's report and I've emailed out to the presidents and I've said, I need to have this information, I need to tell them when I need it by, so that they're not just lollygagging around thinking they've got all kinds of time as a president to do it. And as a president, if you've been given those expectations, they're given as not as a guideline, but as a need to. Because an area director needs to have that information in order to do their area report that has to go to the governor. And the governor needs to have all those reports in because her international liaison needs to report to the international board. So setting those clear expectations and making sure that you're following through on them is a great challenge. This is where you say what you think, ask for help, share ideas, and make sure that you're giving feedback. Because if you're not, that's where the clarity of expectations is not going to be helping. Hard on issues and soft on people. You have to remember that working with volunteers, we can't fire people for not doing their job. So you've got to make sure that you're focusing on the issues. You've got to make sure that when you are working with your groups, be it a committee or a board or you're a club or asking for help at the district, that you use a shared common interest to find a solution. Compromise. And that collaborative effect for a win-win solution is what we need and are focusing on. Questions that you can use. Help me understand why this issue is important to you. Because sometimes if we can understand why someone is so enthralled and set on a particular way a committee is going to work, find out why that is. It could maybe be that the meeting date that you've picked is their anniversary, and they're embarrassed to tell you that their anniversary is much more important than their service committee meeting. So therefore, they're throwing up a block. I can't be at that meeting, and I'm not going to participate. Well, tell me why. Like, can we wish that? It's your anniversary? Oh, well, then let's make it the next day or whatever. Let's come to it. But understand why things are really important to people. And if you are working on a compromise, what would be wrong with compromising in this direction? How would that be? What are the pros and the cons? And why don't we look at what we have here? And is there a way we can all work around this? Maybe you can't be at the meeting in person, but maybe you can phone in. Maybe you can do a go-to meeting. So that saves down on time and travel. So let's look at compromises and focus on the issues, not just the people. I don't see any questions in the chat box, so we're going to keep going. Team basics. Look down there in that middle. Communicate, communicate. Learn by doing and have fun and celebrate success are really important. With your team, you have to make sure that you have an inspiring vision, group goals, strategic plan. If you're going to go through the next year or two as a leader, you want to make sure that you take the time and get commitment to the goals and where your club wants to be in another 6 months, another year, 18 months, and by the end of the biennium. Are the opinions that we have in our group, can we put them all together and make sure that we get to everything? Does everyone understand their role and how to contribute to make the overall goal? Do we offer assistance to others? Do we utilize each other's strengths? Do we back up with skills from other people, from our area directors, from our district board, from our leadership development committee? And mostly, are we kind to each other? I have to tell you that when I went to Japan, I learned a really key lesson visiting shrines and temples. And on my desktop, I actually have a Japanese proverb that has been translated over the decades, over the centuries, and through other cultures. Before you speak, let your words pass through 3 gates. Is it true? Is it necessary? And is it kind? And although I'm not extremely proficient, but I really try as a leader when I'm thinking about dealing with situations, making sure that I follow those guidelines. Is it necessary? Is it truthful? And is it kind? And how to make that happen with my teams that I communicate with. You see, as a leader, there's no room for a blame game. You have to be careful on how you approach challenges or difficult situations. Someone may post something on Facebook that you may not disagree with or agree with and disagree strongly. So I sat in a meeting one time as a governor, and they were discussing a fundraising. And the fundraising for the fashion show didn't go as well as they anticipated. And they were trying to figure out why the tickets didn't get sold. And the discussion moved around someone who forgot to post the event on the Facebook page. Your fault we didn't sell enough tickets. You didn't post it on Facebook. They didn't mention that it was on Twitter. It went into the community newspaper. There was email blasts to community leaders. There was an email blast that went out to Zonshans and the Friends of Zonshans email list that they had. And there was also a 30-sec blurb on the radio. But because it didn't get put on Facebook, they were pointing blame on that. And we have to stop doing that because we are volunteers and we're working together. Next time, we're going to make a checklist and we're going to make sure that all these boxes get checked off. They came to a resolution. We need to be able to celebrate their wins, no matter how small they are. Now, if we're making an endeavor to do a service project, perhaps we're putting together birthing kits, and we had a goal of putting together 1,000 birthing kits, and perhaps we ran out of supplies and we only made 800. We made 800. That's 800 more than we had yesterday. Let's focus on those 800 birthing kits and forget about the 1,000 that we had in goal. And make sure that we're making a checklist to make sure we have enough supplies the next time we do it so that we can achieve that goal. But let's focus on the wins and celebrate them. And I know past Governor Lee is on the call today, and Lee will remember the first biennium that we did birthing kits at a conference. And we actually had bubbly champagne at the end so that we can celebrate making of the birthing kits as a hands-on service project. And that was special, and that brings us all together. So remember, celebrate those successes. One of the things as a leader that you're going to have to do quite quickly in order to be successful is to recognize communication behavior. You know, we're all unique individuals. And regardless of what I read or what I follow, there are 4 types of ways of people who communicate. Now, they may be called different words, but you know, for the most part, this is what we have. We have our aggressive personalities who communicate very aggressively. These are individuals whose overall style of interacting involves considerable persistence and maladaptive aggressiveness. Sometimes it's culture, and the perception is that it's their way or the highway. And then we have our non-assertive. So in layman's terms, that kind of the wimpy, passive, timid, you know, a lot of non-verbal communication, kind of withdrawn body language. You know, they're always looking down or away. They're always second guessing. They may not be the ones that put their hand up to be a committee chair. But, you know, they can be a great asset to committees. And those are the people that sometimes need our help as leaders to give them encouragement to take a risk at being a chair or standing up. Then we have our covert aggressive people who, you know, they say one thing and do another. They're usually motivated by power, or in the business world by money. They keep their aggressive intentions under cover sometimes, and they're ruthlessly underneath stirring the pot. So those are the people that we need to engage in positive actions. You know, those are the ones that sometimes suck the energy out of us as leaders, because we're always trying to second guess really what they want to get out of reasons why they're doing something. They can look good on the surface while acting badly underneath. So those are the people that we need to phone or communicate regularly to make sure that we're keeping them engaged. You know that old saying, sometimes it's easier to keep those enemies close than to push them away, so that we kind of understand what's happening. And they can be the pot stirrers in our clubs. And then we have our assertive people. You know, they express positive and negative ideas in an open and honest, direct way. They're usually the people that are very confident in themselves. They recognize the rights of other people but still respect what they say and allow to take responsibility for the other people's actions, even though they may not agree, but they have enough confidence in themselves to say, well, hold on here. I'm sorry, but I don't see it that way. Help me understand where you're coming from. You have to be open to those people because they're going to give you their honest feedback. And at the end of the day, there's going to have to be some consensus. Personally, out of the 4 communication methods, I choose to work or feel more aligned with the assertive, because I would rather everyone be open and honest on how they feel. Because if they're not open and honest in your meetings, your committee meetings, your club meetings and discussions, then the discussion doesn't stop there. And sometimes you have those second parking lot meetings that happen. So you want to make sure that you're engaging those people into your meetings. You want to make sure that you know the communication style of every member of your club. The best way to do that as a leader, as a new president, is have a coffee with them. Pick up the phone and call them. Understand who they are as people. Get to know them. I can remember over 20 years ago when I joined the Zonta Club of Brampton Caledon, we had over 40 members in our club. And as a new member, there were a handful of leaders in the club who actually took time to get to know me as a brand new member. So you can, look through your rose-colored glasses at me now. And 20 years ago, my hair wasn't this color. And I was a few pounds skinnier and a mom of 2 young boys. And they took the time to get to know me as a person. And it doesn't have to be an all-afternoon event. It's just as easy as picking up the phone and getting to know people. People in your club will respect you for taking the time to get to know them. And trust me, it's going to make your job as leader a lot easier. As I said before, my friend Lance says, a boss intimidates, a leader develops trust. I trust that you're being honest. I can honestly trust you. Those are 2 great sentences. If I can truly express my thoughts without fear or ridicule, I'll be more open to speak my mind. Do you listen when people are talking to you? Or do you multitask? Now, some of us do. Some of us get bored in meetings and we, do other things, whatever. But, it brings me to an old picture, and I've already said, sometimes I have to be reminded that I have 2 ears and a mouth and 1 mouth for a reason. And you can imagine a busy mom, working at the kitchen, doing dishes, getting supper ready, and her daughter comes up to her and she's pulling on her shirt and saying, "Mom, I want to tell you about my day, and this is what happened." And Mom, listen to me with your eyes. And as a leader, sometimes that is a very important thing. Because if you're listening with your eyes, you're giving full attention. And a number of times I've had people sit across the desk and I have been listening to their story and, setting up my calendar for the next day and not really hearing. And we're missing out. We're missing out at what they're really saying to us. So please, if it's one thing that you do when you are talking to members of your team is take that chance. And with your families. I mean, these are all good lessons to listen with your eyes, to really be engaged. Remember the words, help me understand. Moving forward, good communication is really important. And we've spent a lot of time on it today, but there are workshops, half-day full workshops on what it is to be a good communicator. And you want to make sure that you are patient, because not everyone listens, or not everyone is a fast thinker. And sometimes people need to really absorb to make sure that they're getting all that information. We want to make sure that everybody is on the same goals and communication with our committee. Moving forward, leadership at meetings. We want to make sure that you are concise in a meeting. You want to make sure that you invite clarification, that you leave time for it. Confidence for groups to make sure that no one is monopolizing your meeting. When I first learned to be president way back, I used to set timings on my agenda. We're going to talk for 8 minutes. We're going to talk for 10 minutes so that I could keep myself in a line. And I make sure that I have my watch with a stop timer so that I keep into my meetings on time, because that's really, really important. Enhanced leadership in your group, the more knowledge you share with your elected board, your vice president, your treasurer, your secretary, your board, and share the information down, because that's going to make you a better leader. You want to make sure that when you are leading your meeting, you set out a great agenda. And as a leader, a board president, or an area director, when you're holding team meetings, or as a governor, you want to make sure that you are setting out a good agenda. You want to make sure that you're preparing for success. Why are you having the meeting? And what it is you want to accomplish by the end of the meeting. Is there tangibles that they need to have ahead of time? And as you'll know, you were sent out some stuff ahead of time for this meeting. What is it that you want to know? And what is it that you want to believe? At the end, you want to make sure you're appealing to their hands, their head, and their heart. So we've got everything pulled together to make sure that you have a successful meeting. Sheena, can I have you come down 2 slides, please? Okay, great, thanks. Just pop back up for a sec.
Sorry.
I just want to make sure I hit it. That's okay, that's okay. As you probably noticed, I put a couple of slide things together. So one of the other things you want to make sure is when you start your meetings, you want to set your ground rules so that you're following a good dialogue. And when you're setting your ground rules, be consistent. People like consistency. Agenda, resources, and documents ahead of time. I sit on a couple of community boards, and working as chair with the Brampton-Caledon Community Foundation, working with my executive director, we make sure that all our tangibles, our handouts, our agendas are 5 business days ahead of our meeting. And that way it gives everybody a chance to read through everything and puts the onus back on them to come prepared. And if you are doing a club meeting and you are putting your agenda together and you wanted to go out to your club, say 5 days before, you want to make sure that you're letting your committee chairs know that anything that they want to discuss or report, you need to have that maybe 8 days ahead to give you 3 days to put it together, or whatever your timing is. Maybe you need it a week ahead of that. So they need to have their information 2 weeks to you before your meeting. So as a good leader, you're going to need to look at your club calendar, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit, and how to set those things up to make sure that your timing and your time frame is in line. Set your meetings up for success. I can tell you, hand over my heart, that as governor and lieutenant governor, when I traveled through the district, the clubs that didn't run by a set agenda or ran without Robert's rules and minutes have been the clubs that have not continued on, have not been successful. Setting up your meeting is so important. Next slide, Sheena. You have your meeting, and now you're going to close it up. You want to make sure that you have everyone on board. Listen, I sat through a number of high-profile company business meetings. We've had a great meeting, and at the end, we have all agreed that everything that we have said should be put into action. But there's been no action plan register done. There's been no assignment of who was going to do what was tasked. And that's really important. Because we are all passionate people, and most of us are ideas and putting those forward, some of us are lacking in that follow-up or putting things to paper to make sure that they're getting done. Who's going to be responsible? You want to make sure that you're building those lists throughout so that everybody is in consensus. Because there's no sense in having a great meeting, deciding that you're going to have this wonderful fundraising event and that you're going to have it at the ABC location, and no one has been in charge of phoning ABC to make sure it's okay to have it. Now you need to make sure that those details are put forward. And sometimes, if it's not in your wheelhouse or capability, that's when you need to make sure you have a great president-elect or great secretary that you can have those discussions with before and say, okay, let's make sure that we have those things attached. And if I forget, you need to say, whoa, hold on, who's going to be responsible for that? And make sure you have consensus of who that's going to be. Because if you don't have your action list at the end of your meeting, you're going to spin your wheels. You're going to never know how to move forward. So don't ask if there's any questions. And I'm guilty, I do that. It says you should say, so what's worked well in this meeting? And what is it that we need to have more clarification on? Because if you're not clear on the direction of what you have just spent an hour or 2 hours talking about, if members aren't clear on the direction, then nothing's going to move forward. We're going to have that chat in the back about how inefficient everything was. You want to make sure you say, moving forward, are we all clear on our direction? Is there anyone that needs clarification? I'd like to open it up. I'd like to take a couple of minutes. I'm going to open up my listing here, and I've got everybody in an order. If you go to your people and you click them down, if I see I have a web person first, if you would like to speak, please unmute yourself as you go down the list, and I'll ask you if you have a best practice that you'd like to share in building a meeting or wrapping a meeting up or anything that we've talked about. No one has the best practice they want to share with me?
I'll have one.
Hi, Lori. Oh, go ahead, Kate.
Okay, thanks. I like to keep an action log, and I don't know if anybody had been to the planning meetings that we had for the conference centennial early on or even later, but we tried to keep an action logs and then publish it so that people knew what they had agreed to. Because a lot of times people are on more than one club or group, and we sign up for things wanting to help and do things, and then, you know, we're not going to meet for another month or so, and then you sometimes forget. So what I highly encourage is for folks to agree to a deliverable or a time frame, a target for the deliverable, and then publish that afterwards so that everybody can have it in front of them in a brief manner. And then they just can keep on track of what they agreed to do.
Thanks for sharing that, Kate. And I can tell you, as a ex officio member of that particular committee, when I couldn't travel, it was very helpful to know where the group was at and what was happening. So not only is it good for you as a leader to keep things on tap, it's also great for people who were unable to attend the meeting. So thanks for sharing that best practice. That's awesome. Sheena, anyone else do you see?
I have something. This is Alice.
Hi, Alice.
Hi. We have found that sometimes we're in the middle of a discussion on a certain topic, and then someone comes up with an idea or possible action or future discussion on a related topic, but one that we can't really get to during the agenda that we have set up in the time frame. So we created a parking lot. And so if anything comes up in the discussion that we want to look at further or investigate, we will put it on our parking lot list. And then we just keep it at the bottom of the meeting agenda for the future meetings and get them on the agenda as we can.
Excellent. And thank you for sharing that. For any of you who have ever been in any of our in-person workshops, we usually have a parking lot set up onto the side so that everyone can participate in that. And I'd like to think that for this meeting, we're kind of using our chat box like that, but having it written and up there and keeping record of that is a perfect idea. Thank you. What a great shared practice.
Thank you.
One more? Someone else?
Dorian, did you
Okay,
have a
go
question?
ahead.
Yes, we discovered that the use of a consent agenda moved the meeting forward. So things like minutes, treasurer's reports, sort of routine committee reports, they would be sent out ahead with the agenda, and it was easy to do that, just pass the consent agenda and move along to and allow time for the more important matters.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. And we're actually going to touch on consent agenda as a great tool in the next section. So thank you. Now, someone else had a question.
I did. This is
Go
Shelley.
ahead.
Well,
Hi, Shelley.
Hi. I'm smiling because of the parking lot scenario and how that works. And I think that's absolutely wonderful. I was going the opposite direction and wanted to point out what was said previously about having meetings outside of meetings. And I was told once in my, I'm retired, and I was told once at a meeting as we were all discussing things sitting around the table as the meeting was over, and I was actually chairing that committee at our church actually, and someone said to the whole group, we should not be having parking lot meetings. In other words, what they meant was when the meeting is over, don't go out into the parking lot and continue the meeting. So I was kind of smiling after I heard that other scenario. So, but I think that what was said, not taking it out into the parking lot, is the reference that Lori was making before.
Yes, And, you know, one of the great things about having a team environment is if your parking lot is held where your meeting is just finished and people are hanging around because they enjoy each other's company and they're excited about the new project that you have, that's a great parking lot meeting. The ones that you don't want are the ones that are in behind, but thanks for sharing. Okay, so let's move forward there, Sheena. Thank you all for sharing. And if you have anything else you want to share, please make sure you type it in the chat box so that everyone can view that. You know, growing leaders is important. First off, I want to say thank you for you to be here today and for stepping up for leadership in whatever role that you have said that you were stepping up for. But you know, as an HR person, it's really, really important for succession planning for me. This is one of the things that I think is so important for clubs, because I have seen, unfortunately, through my years in Zonta, when we have great leaders who keep their knowledge close to their chest and don't want to share it, then when something happens and they're not able to continue on in that role, or they move away, or, you know, for whatever reason are part of your club, then you lose all that great knowledge. So sharing what we know and what we learn in Zonta is really, really important. If you want to recruit members for your board or for your club with specific skill sets and then let them grow, you know, you may want to have someone join your Zonta club because they're really great in the community as a web designer. And then you get them in and you think, oh, wow, Sally's going to be a great addition. She's a fabulous web designer. She's going to help us with our webpage. And she gets in there and she says to you, you know what? I do that all day. I'll help someone do that. But I'd really like to know, are you ready for this? How to be a treasurer. And then you may want to help nurture her into that role so that in the next biennium, she can help your club as a treasurer. I haven't really heard any good stories about people wanting to come in and that's their key focus in Zonta, but if you ever get one, you want to hang on to them. You want to make sure that your club has a culture that's going to envelop those people to take risks and challenges. Because I've often heard through my 20 years as member of Zonta, Zonta is a safe place to fail. We don't want to set people up for failure. So personally, I try not to say that word. But what I do say is we are setting people up to succeed, to learn, to develop, and to grow. Because we need to grow leaders in Zonta, in our club, so that we can all learn. As I said, there's not one day or week goes by where I haven't learned something new. And if you're growing your leaders, it's going to give your club a greater handle on risk management, because that knowledge is going to be passed on and you're not going to fall into the traps of maybe what gave you a downfall or a challenge or a lack of opportunity in the past. So you want to make sure that you're growing those leaders. Succession planning, as an HR person, I can't tell you how important that is. And having co-chairs sometimes is a great way to have succession planning. You know, you may have somebody who has been a chair of your service committee for years and years and is just getting tired of doing it. But perhaps they would like to have someone that they could mentor for the next year and who would be willing to take that chair position in the following year. You know, somebody who can then develop those trusting relationships and learn what it is to be part of a service committee and then be chair. And we have to remember, as leaders, we're reminding people who are stepping up to those leadership positions that they don't always have to do everything on their own, that's why they have a committee. So that is a learned event. So you want to make sure that when you're putting those people into positions that they know just as you as president, you don't have to know everything. You just need to know who to ask and where to get the information from. Because we're hoping as president, perhaps you may want to, in the next biennium, let your name stand for area director and move forward in our organization. Or perhaps being president at this time, you are learning and growing as a leader, you will put in for that promotion or that new position that's moving forward in your personal life. Because Zonda is a place to where to learn to grow. As president, you need to take stock of where your club is and work with your membership chair and figure out what it is that you need to keep you strong and healthy in the next year, 2 years, and then moving into the next biennium. You have been given the trust of the members of your club to move your club forward this biennium. You will have to look at how to continue growing your club. Maybe retention is a problem in your club. Maybe as a president, your goal is to focus on retaining the members that you have in the next 12 months. Maybe the activities and goals through your service and advocacy and fellowship committees are going to be focusing on that retention. You know, retention is just as important as recruiting. Looking after those members we already have, making them feel valued. If they're valued and feel like they are part of their club, they're going to bring their friends to a solid club. So we have to make sure that we're looking at what our club needs at the time. I'm not sharing anything that isn't part of any club who has been a member of our district for a number of years, where your membership goes in highs and lows, peaks and valleys. But recognizing that there are challenges and obstacles, and how you rally your team, how you cheerlead them on, is an important way to be a great leader. Next slide there, Sheena. This just kind of sums it up. You want to make sure that you're encouraging leadership development and acknowledging. So strategies for successful leadership, the following slide. Next slide, please, Sheena. Appreciate, appreciate, appreciate. And sometimes I have seen it on presidents' agendas where they take a moment to thank a member of their club for doing something that the rest of the group may or may not have known. In our own club, and to show appreciation, we actually have a Spirit Award that we pass kind of month by month or whenever we get together the next time to show our recognition and our acknowledgement of members who have stepped and gone beyond. I'd like to give you a couple of minutes now. And in the type chat box, this is the time where you can take 2 minutes. If you need to have a quick break, grab a coffee, type in the box of what is one thing that you learned or were reminded of. Is there something that you have learned in this section of leadership that you can apply immediately? And here is something that is going to be an ongoing discussion with this District 4 board is, what is it that you need to move you and your club forward? And what other training would be helpful in your roles? So We'd like to take 2 minutes. The time is 10:30. We're going to come back in 2 minutes, give everybody a quick bio break, maybe heat up that coffee and put your information in your chat box. And we'll see you back in 2 minutes. Okay?
So Lori,
Sheena?
sounds good, Lori. And I will say that when we return in 2 minutes, we'll just kind of go through some of the points from the chat box, if that works for you.
That's perfect. Before we step on to tips and traps for success.
So at this point, Lori, would you like to go through the
Absolutely.
chat box? So Kate has love the 3 points to consider before, oh, sorry, people, my chat box just went up. Sorry about that. Lori, maybe you can do some of the chats because the chat box keeps moving on me and I can't.
Okay, so Kate loves the 3. Is it?
Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind?
Is it kind? Yes. Debbie, learn and understand your club culture. You need to know your culture before you can ask someone to join as a member. Absolutely. absolutely, you need to know what your club is like to make sure it's go through. I'm not sure what Janice means, 3 points to consider. Are you there, Janice?
It's the same thing that Kate said. I think to always remember those three things before you speak, and think about just think about them will make your life a lot easier.
It does, and you know, we're all human, and it sometimes is a hard thing to remind ourselves. Kate's looking for ways to add members, especially given pandemic, through membership. Well, I'm sure that the D4 board is going to have some information moving forward on membership too. So absolutely, those would be great things. Thanks, Deanne, for saying about, sorry, Sheena, go ahead.
Nope. I was just going to say, Deanne, as well, about celebrating our successes, no matter how big or how small.
Mm-hmm. Tips on how to increase diversity in our club and expanding demographic. That's a really good moving forward on recruitment and retention. I'm going to show you where some tools are in there, Deanna, and where you'll be able to look at that. Elizabeth says, remind importance of efforts for retention members and attracting new members. Absolutely, absolutely.
Marion has a question about assertive approach, that she doesn't see it that way. Please help me understand your point of view.
Marion, would you like to ask that question?
Yes, actually, it wasn't. It was just, I think I had the phrase correct, that when you were talking about the communication, you said that the assertive person would say it that way, that if they're talking with them, they would say, I don't see it that way. Please help me to understand your point of view. And I just thought that was such a great way to approach it when you're in that position.
Yeah, and you know, Marion, it is hard sometimes because we're all human and we all have feelings. We don't necessarily like to hear someone say, I don't agree with you, you're wrong. So if we can try to turn that around and say, help me understand where you're coming from, and be a little kinder, and that's a tough go. Thank you for your clarification. The thing with when we do that and we have that discussion, we have to make sure that, please help me understand your point of view, and then come to a consensus and be open.
We also have a request for more training on do's and don'ts of social media. We'll see if we can get Kat on board with that.
Yeah.
Solidifying, clarifying goals, and then clearly communicating those goals. That's a pretty important one as well.
That is, and that falls into the strategic planning. And there are some clubs that are really great at every, 2 years sitting down and putting a strategic plan in place where they would like to be. All good plans come astray sometimes. So strategic planning is important, but I think it's important as a leader, regardless at what position that you're in, that you set goals, not just personal goals, but goals that you want to work with whatever team it is. I mean, you could be a chair of a committee, you could be a president, you could be an area director, lieutenant governor, and you want to set your goals. We're going to get directive goal guidelines after our convention in July. What are the international president's goals and directives? And wow, if we can get those goals and align our goals all the way down through district, through our club, through our committees that fall in line, it's so much easier, because remember, the reason why we're here is because we're all passionate about the same things. It's either service or advocacy, right? Anything else there, Wendy? Wendy says, as the president-elect, is it a perfect reminder to become more familiar with all the excellent resources? Oh, we're going to blow your mind, Wendy, in the next section here. Listen, listen, and listen, and grow relationships. Yeah, and you know, for members of Zonta, even on the international level, when we're doing our committee work, although international committees, we never meet in person except if we're at a convention or North American Interdistrict meeting or the European Interdistrict meeting, when we go as members to we never touch, we never speak. So we as members of Zonta need that communication because we're passionate and like that people connect. So great. Okay, shall we move on then, Sheena?
Okay.
So just a reminder that the things that I've talked to in this first previous session are only little snippets of sometimes full day sessions. So I'm looking at Sheena. Correct. So this is called Tips and Traps. So this is a workshop that has been developed at the international level, and I've taken and modernized it and used some new pictures from over. And this is a web session that is also online. Kathleen Douglas, Judy, well, actually, it was probably Jackie Goodmanson and Shelley Cunning have given this at the international level for presidents. And we've just revised it and make it go. I hope that this is going to save you some time and aggravation, because Zonta has tons of tools to help you be successful. So have you read your recent club manual? Do you have a club manual? Have you read the club manual that was sent to you as a draft? That's a great club manual to start with. Governing documents. Although I am not a bylaws person, I live by these governing documents. I have pages marked. I keep little tabs as things change internationally. I write them down in my governing document books. The Zonta International website has just been redone, and we're going to walk you through that and show you some great things. Hot off the press is the President's Manual. Have you updated your club's bylaws? Maybe you're waiting till September till the new ones come out for 2020 to 2022. But these are all things you need to absorb as much as you can. And I know it's overwhelming, but you got 2 years at least to learn it. So let's take a look at the next slide. Zonta Club Manual for November 2017. If everything goes through the way that President Suzanne and incoming President Sharon hope it's going to, we are actually going to see new manuals come forward. So we will have new club manuals. They will be updated. If in doubt of what you are responsible for, you can go to the governing documents to find out what the president's responsibilities are and the board, or you can go to the Zonta Club Manual, and it says the club is responsible. The club is president and chief executive officer at the club. It has a list of all the responsibilities, presides at all the meetings, appoints chairman, promotes and participates at club area and director meetings, invites district foundation ambassador to club meetings, encourages the club and individuals to contribute to Zonta International. And as a foundation ambassador, I'm happy to say that every club in our district made a contribution to the foundation. Your responsibilities are all outlined in the club manual. And if you had any doubt of what your board was to do, this is where you're going to find out what your board is responsible for. And right in there, it says that your board is responsibility, has responsibility to make sure that information gets to district and international. And it also says that your board is not a decision-making board. Your club makes the decisions. And we need to remind ourselves sometimes as leaders, when we are working with a small and efficient board, that they make the decisions. No. The board is only there to make sure that the decisions that are made at the club come to fruition. Zonta is a member-driven organization. Right up to our district board. Our district board doesn't make decisions that haven't been approved at conference. The same as the international board does not make decisions that have not been based on what convention delegates say. We're a member-driven organization. The board's responsibility at all levels is just to make sure that the wishes are aligned with the mission and vision, and that they are put forth through from the members up. You need to know anything? Have a copy of that club manual handy. It's worth printing out. Responsibilities of the president at the area level, responsibilities at district level, and responsibilities at international level. And for all purposes of our meeting today, the responsibilities of the president to the area director are huge. You need to be in communication with your area director. You need to report in a timely fashion as requested by the area director, and you need to attend meetings set up by the area director, because that's where you're going to get your information that you need to pass down to your club. Now, here we go. Hot off the press. We're going to take you to the Zonta International website. Are you going to do that first, Sheena, or are we going to go through the static slides?
No, I'm bringing it up. It's just I have to bring up share the screen.
Okay. In this presentation, there are static slides that we have put in so that you can review it. You'll be able to review it offline. And Sheena is going to we're going to walk you through the new website and show you where to find all the information. Because I can tell you, people ask me questions about governing documents, and I don't know them all, but I know where to look to find the answer. So here's the static page is that the static page, Sheena?
No, this is the real one, sorry.
Oh, you're online? Okay, great.
Online.
Fabulous. So this is online, our new Zonta website. Sheena is now going to go and show you where she's going to just click in and log in into My Zonta, right there. Now you're going to see in My Zonta when you are logged in, we're going to go back and show you the static screen later. If you've never logged into My Zonta and you need help, please ask. If you don't know where to go to get the information, don't be embarrassed. Let's get everybody on the same page so we can all start off the next biennium with all the tools and the knowledge that we can put in. So in My Zonta, here's where Sheena has ticked in, and these are all the great formats that we have put through. So there's governance, and if you click on the governance, it is actually going to pull up on that website the governing documents. This is where everything is that we need to move through. She's going to move down her screen and show you where the governing documents are. This is where you're going to find where our documents that were governed as at this point, and come September, if not sooner, but by September, the new governing documents will be there. Okay. You're going to find, this is where, from governing documents, then we're not going to click on, but there'll be new biennium goals that will be there, policies and guidelines, and also the manuals. So Sheena's going to click on the manuals and show you that is where all of the manuals that you will ever need to find are here in one spot. You can download them to your computer or your desktop. You don't have to print them out, but there's the Zonta District Manual, Zonta Club Manual, Zed and Golden Zed manuals, any manuals that you are going to need. My favorite, the protocol manual, everything is there. And for the most part, June 2019 is, it's on the International Foundation manual, has been updated. So things will come through. I see February 2020. So the manuals, as they are updated, will be populated there. So governing documents and manuals are all in an easy spot to find. Finance manual. And as I said, depending on what happens at convention, that's one of the goals of incoming President Sharon Langenbeck, is to have them all updated. So governance is a key issue. Forms. Forms is another great section. So if you click on forms, this is where the listing of all the forms are. And if in doubt and you can't find something, you just have to go up to the little magnifying glass and type in what you're looking for. And the forms will all pop up and come in. If you want to have a sample of a form for a conflict of interest declaration, that's where you're going to find it. Tools. Tools is another great title. Here are all the tools that are all going to be listed. You need to have membership tools, PR tools, risk management tools, service, UN, all your tools are there listed. From a risk management, one of the tools that is a really good one that if you would just click on that, Sheena. In the risk management section, there is an actual risk management checklist. And if your club hasn't done your risk analysis in EON, this is a really good form, risk management club check document. It's a PDF. I'm not going to ask Sheena to pull it up right now, but this is where you're going to find that checklist. And that's going to help you keep in line and focused. Okay. Sheena, if you want to. Here is also the leadership development tools. This section is so user-friendly. And if you have not taken time to go through the leadership development, this is a great area. This is where the YouTube video is that I had mentioned previously, would be effective communication YouTube video, how-to tools, how to create a presentation, and down here, the club officer training template. It's in a PowerPoint format that you can actually download and train your board on. How to add speak to a PowerPoint presentation. These are all how-to tools. President's Handbook is there, and we have given you an email copy of that as well. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But now Sheena is going to go back up to the top. And she's actually going to click on the Zonta Leadership Program. This is the Zonta Leadership Program that I've had the privilege of working on and with the committee for the last 2 years. Kathleen Douglas has been on the committee and chair for 3 biennium. She's been. Zonta Essentials for Governance is so important. Talks about Zonta 101, Club Essentials, Governance, Bylaws, and Club Protocol and Manuals. The one that I really want to focus on is the next one. It's called Goal Inspire Leadership. Here is where you're going to see some familiar PowerPoint slides. Here's your strategic planning, board orientation, how to run effective meetings, how to do succession planning, and then measuring your club's performance. And in measuring club's performance, you're going to find skills on club checklists and different things. People leadership is the next one, which has a number of great tools. Now, when you click on these links, you're going to be taken to a video. Next, when you click on the video section, there's also the actual written words that go with the slides. So you can actually go through and show these at a meeting. They're anywhere between 7 and 15 minutes long. Now I have a confession. I haven't gone through all the financial leadership ones. I was privy to watching some of them be developed, but I haven't taken the time to go through all of those. So that's sessions number 4. We can scroll down, Sheena. Business strategies. Here's where you're going to find brand identity, writing communication plans, web tools for clubs, best social media practices, attract low cost media attention. This is all business strategies. And I'm very proud of the last module, membership, engagement, and growth. I had the opportunity to work with the Leadership Development Committee and putting together these presentations in PowerPoints. Amelia Earhart's fellowship, mentoring coaching members, Jane MK, and the retargeted recruitment and planning. So these are great modules that are there. That tells you how long the videos are, so you'll know what you're in for. And sometimes you don't have to watch the presentations, you can just listen to the videos on your walk. So here's where some great tools are. Thanks so much, Sheena, for walking us through that. I hope that everyone has picked up a quick tool. I myself are still learning the new website and figuring out where things are. But if you have a challenge, just go on search and pick some keywords, and it will give you some opportunities and places to go. In your toolbar, when you go through, you'll see directory. And if you go to directory and just type in 04 search, Kate, here's where everyone that comes into District 4 will pop up. Now you have to take into consideration, it may not be current. I think these numbers were current as of April, I've been told. But you will be able to go through and search a particular club. So if you met the president of a club, it will come there. Also, too, there's going to be president's lists put out by the district, we've been told earlier, but here you'll be able to help and source. So you'll be able to say, gosh, who was that from the Zonta Club of Brampton that did our listing? I think her first name was Lori, but I can't remember. You can actually go through and source and find people. Just a reminder that this list is confidential and cannot be shared or used for business reasons. This is a Zonta list only, and there are rules and guidelines. Okay. Thanks, Sheena. That was awesome. You can see there's also my profile that you can go in, change your email address, your phone number. You're not getting the emails from international. You can go on and do that because this is where your district is going to get your information too. Great job, Sheena. I couldn't have done that without you. So thanks for maneuvering that. Okay. So this page is really important. And if you get here and you're stumped or you want to try to help members, reach out to the communications team. They'll help you if needed. And sometimes it doesn't hurt to take your computer or make sure you have a laptop and show the members of your club how to log in and get them logged in. And I know that was going to be one of the hands-on activities at the area workshops that unfortunately weren't able to go, but you know, it just takes some time. I'm sure someone in your club will have a laptop and be able to get people on the computer, particularly any of your members who are technically challenged. And remember, we've all been there, technically challenged at one point. So as I said, hot off the press, you were all emailed the club's president companion. This is such a great tool. It's going to be immediate resources, you know, who you're going to report to, your area director and your tools, your role, finance management, getting organized. I can't stress enough, being organized as president. If it takes you an afternoon on a rainy day or a day to get your club calendars in order, have discussions with your area director, you know, getting organized is so important. Set the expectations for committee chairs to have requests to speak or present at least 2 weeks ahead. So that you can put it on an agenda. Now, mind you, all great plans, you know, they go astray and sometimes it doesn't always happen. But at least there's a guideline. I'm so happy that that came out this biennium. If you ask Kathleen Douglas, that's been a work in progress for the last 18 months. Trust us, we've been working hard on that. So let's assemble your team. You've been given a team of elected board members, the president-elect. You know, as the leader, it falls to you to help get those teams organized. If you are looking for chairs or people to come onto a committee, it's your responsibility to make sure that that's happening. You know, if you were hiring a new employee to a company, you wouldn't just ask random people to join things. You'd want to source them out. And so that's what you need to do as president. In some cases, the best person for the job will be someone that you know well and that you're friends with. So you want to make sure that you're picking the best person for the job. And, you know, as the president, it is your responsibility to make sure that all the committees have chairs or co-chairs. You want to make sure that you pick the best person for the job, knowing that the job is going to get done, and the club has the best opportunity to succeed. And promise support. And if you're not the right person to support that person, make sure you assign someone who is the right person. We're going to skip the next slide, Sheena, the role play and the asks. Because of time, but we'll discuss that in a little bit. We're going to go back to the communication. You know, this is truly a communication. You want to make sure that you are setting the expectations. You want to make sure you're open and creative and to try something new. And for lots of our clubs, this COVID and working via Skype, Zoom, GoToMeetings, that's trying something new. And I've even heard there are some clubs that, although don't want to be an official e-club and meet all the time through electronics, but they may be looking at having 1 or 2 meetings a year via GoToMeeting. Things are going to change. Things are going to change at our clubs. Things are going to change at our district, and things are definitely going to change at international. Just because you've used things in the past, don't get trapped, right? And just because things have been done the way they've been done before, don't get trapped in the founder syndrome. You know, we've always done it this way. We can't move away. You got to make sure you've got to push your group to look at the old ideas with fresh eyes, how we can update and change things, bring into club engagement with positive energy. Remember that cheerleader? Well, sometimes you have to take the pom-poms right to the club, you know, but you have to make sure that you're being open to all ideas. You know, the technology. One of the things you do have to remember and remind not only yourself, but your leaders in your club, that they have to be conscientious of what they put out there on Facebook, on Twitter. If you do not know how to do a PowerPoint, enlist someone from your club that does. Or better yet, learn how to do that. And on the leadership development, there is a whole section on actually putting a PowerPoint together. I learned how to speak to a PowerPoint from a webinar off the Zonta International website. There's lots of tools there. Grow yourself as a leader. Maybe that's going to help you in your personal career moving forward. I can't stress enough that if you're not organized, it's going to be a challenge. Don't wait to the last minute. Take time over the summer. Take time over the next few weeks. Take advantage of not everything being up to full go now, and learn a new skill. You don't want to have your members blindside you because you're not organized. Make sure you're organized. Sorry, Sheena, I'm messing up here. As president, you have to know you don't have to go it alone. Ask others to participate in your meeting. If you have a cold and sore throat and you don't think you can get through the meeting, someone else can take that over for you. You don't have to be superwoman. Perhaps you can assign a member with the Zonta topics from Zonta International. A member that'll have 5 minutes to present at the meeting, let's say. This would be a great way to engage member topics. You know, education opportunities at district and international meetings should be attended by as many members as possible. If you get an email saying there's going to be a webinar and you think that there's someone in your group that would be a good fit, then have them join. There are wonderful presentations online in Zonta Leadership Academy. You know, learn through whatever you can. Involve members in all discussions at our clubs. Our clubs are a democratic body. All are to have a voice. So make sure you're being inclusive. Be sure to involve each member in some way or form. Way back when I first joined Zonta, we set goals for many of our activities that we wanted to have 100% activity, participation. And whether it was selling tickets or being in attendance or supporting, everyone was expected to participate at some level. Next one. Remember, you're the coach. You're not the boss. You don't have to do everything yourself, but you want to make sure that you are always putting your best foot forward as a leader in a positive way. For those of you who may not recognize these 5 women, these are the 5, well, current president, Suzanne, and 4 immediate past presidents, all great leaders. Remember, lead by example. You are going to have to be a great leader, a great coach, and a great mentor. And you're going to have to ask for help throughout your biennium. Don't be afraid to ask for help from members of your club, from your area director, from other people you know. Success of your club is depending on you. So get out those pom-poms. I know we've run 10 minutes over. The next slide is to share a best practice moving forward. Because we've got the chat line going, we're just going to keep going through and do that at the end. Real tricks of the trade. We talked about this a little earlier about using consent agendas. That is a really good tip. We're going to just keep going through on the president's responsibilities and the board responsibilities. They're listed in the manual. They're also listed in the governing documents. Piece of advice, when you are putting your agenda together, make sure you put what's important earlier in your agenda. Anything that has discussion or is going to need some focus, you need to do that early in your meeting. And as I said before, if you don't have an agenda and you don't follow parliamentary procedure, you're setting yourself up to fail. If you want to put, you should always have a Zonta International moment. But one of the easiest ways is we learned through sharing best practices with the Club of Kitchener-Waterloo. They do a toast to a Zonta club around the world. It gives your members a feeling of international. The Zonta Club of Brampton-Caledon has adopted that. So what we do is we'll toast a club from around the world for a particular reason that someone has come up with, be it the International President's Club, be it something that was in the news. And then we send an email to them through their website or Facebook page or however, and let them know that at our club meeting, we toasted them. And recognize your members. Let's talk about consent agendas. For those of you who have not heard that about a consent agenda is really putting all the things that need no discussion or decision making. They are reports for information only, and they can go into your consent agenda and be sent out via email or newsletter ahead of time. They're non-controversial decisions. Oh, next slide, Sheena. They're non-controversial. They can be backgrounds and updates, reports, correspondence. The first thing to do is to have your board approve a motion to adopt the consent agenda for your board format for board meetings, and then it can be approved down to your club. A consent agenda can only work if your committee chairs put that information ahead so that it can be distributed ahead. Now I have to share a little giggle. When I was president a long time ago, I used to say, if you don't submit a report, you don't get to talk. So you can't just show up at the meeting as a chair of a committee and say, oh yeah, I forgot to let you know, I am gonna need 20 minutes to discuss whatever. No, it'll have to go on new business and it'll have to go through the process, because people would hijack my meeting. A chair would take 20 minutes of valuable time that we wouldn't be able to go to a speaker or hear something else, or our meetings would go till 9:30 at night. So it's an education. It's a set of expectation. If you would like to speak at the meeting, please let me know ahead approximately how long you're going to take, and then hold them to it. And it also helps if you know what they're going to speak about. So their report should be into that. If you need help with a consent agenda, you can ask your area director. There is a consent agenda information on the e-learning. You have been tasked with the challenge of being president. You're going to make a great president. Relationships are key. Putting forth relationships and understanding what your role is in your relationship towards your members and your board, your area director, your area committee chairs, your lieutenant governor, and your governor, and what your role is with your public. Is it the expectation of your club for you to join another group, or are you going to be the sole media face of your club? Setting those expectations, they're going to save you time and aggravation. So understand what your relationships are.
Lori, we do have a question
Yes.
That pertains to
Sure.
the previous slide, so sorry for interjecting.
No
Dorian,
worries.
how do you incorporate speakers before business meetings or after?
Oh, Dorian, that's a great question. I have seen in my travels done many ways. Sometimes a speaker comes into a club meeting, the president gives a greeting and the speaker comes in and then leaves because the club does not want the speaker to be in attendance for the business session because maybe financials are going to be discussed or whatever. I've also seen clubs alternate meetings where one meeting they have a speaker education session where that's their entire meeting, and then the following meeting is a business meeting. And here's news too. There is a Zonta Club in our district who used to have 2 meetings a month. One was a business meeting and one was a speaker meeting. So it's a challenge and it's a work in progress for some clubs. You have to go with what is a consensus for your club and what they see is going to work. The Zonta Club of Brampton-Caledon for the past 2 years have been working on a balance of a business meeting 1 month and then a speaker fellowship meeting the 2nd month. And anything that happens in the meantime goes via email through an email change if there's things that need to be discussed. So a balance using technology and face-to-face.
Lori,
I hope that answers your question.
Oops. Sorry, Lori, it's Sheena. One thing I will kind of add that has happened in the last 3 months with the COVID is that our clubs have gone online to have their meetings. And that might be another way for clubs to streamline meetings.
Yeah.
I would say that on average, the clubs have been meeting probably half the duration that they would normally do in a normal business meeting. And that might be an idea to hold your executive meeting or your general meeting online, and then have one meeting where everyone gets together, does a service project, has a speaker in, or just gets together for some fellowship and friendly conversation.
Great. Thanks, Sheena. Great question. Next slide, please. Planning for your club year. We've talked about planning and how important this is. In your package, you were sent ahead a sample, a great sample that has been passed down and used, and most recently formatted and updated versus whatever by Margaret Greer. So this club calendar has progressed. There's variations that get passed through district to district, and there's a couple of club calendars that come down through international to make sure that awards, reports, guidelines, everything is in. So you don't have to create the wheel. We just have to share those goals. Membership lists can now easily be pulled off the website that we've seen now. Zonta International is working on updating the membership list so that everything will be up and going. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, I don't know when. Perhaps Governor-elect Janice knows when that will be done, but there will be an updated. But your treasurer will have access to the updated list that you have submitted, so you can go from there. There's so many things on a club calendar that can be advantageous. My suggestion to you is when you get the dates from your area director when your reports need to be in, that you can then track and set a timeline for you and for your clubs. This is really important to take the time to get organized. Some traps to avoid. You know, Zonta has to be fun for you. And if Zonta's not fun for you, you're going to burn out and you're not going to be the best you. So you need to make sure you take care of you. Make sure that you're setting expectations to your club. Make sure you're sharing any challenges with your area director. Make sure that on your area director meetings or calls, you get to know other presidents. If you're having a challenge or a situation, chances are they have too, or maybe they've lived through it. So don't be afraid to share. An organization that I've been part on is a leadership organization. We don't give advice. We don't, but we share experiences. We share situations, what we learned and what we would change. And as a leader, sharing those experiences of what we've done well and what we wish we could have changed, but what we learned are very important. So please share those. Don't get trapped into do it my way approach. Because let me tell you, that's going to create you much more aggravation that you need. You have no idea. Next slide. How celebrating your successes will make your club members feel appreciated, regardless of how small you think it is. A personal email, a thank you note, a birthday card, anything that you can celebrate. Celebrate your successes because it's a tough world out there right now. We need to celebrate all those successes. If you want to enhance your reading or the Zonta International website has become boring to you and you've gone through all those modules, let me suggest some of the interesting reading that I have gone through. When I had the privilege of doing governor's orientation for President Suzanne, we did the Simon Sinek, What is Your Why? And start with your why. It was great reading and great learnings. Also, leaders eat last. Talking about servient leadership. Now, what it is to be a real coach, what it is to be a real leader, not the boss. And of course, my friend's book, The Bellwether Effect by Lance Secretan, is a really great, easy read and available too. But don't forget, you're not in this alone. You have tons of support. We're here, all of us, to support you. And I know that the incoming 2020-2022 board is here to support you. I'd like to take a special minute to thank Kathleen Douglas, Chair of the Zonta Leadership Development, Shelley Cutting, and Jackie Goodmanson for their hard work on the Leadership Development Committee and for a number of the slides and presentations. Please, if there's something that you need help with, reach out to your area director, incoming Lieutenant Governor Sheena and membership, and our incoming Governor Janice. You're not out there alone. So thank you. If I could have one thing I could ask of you, if you have anything that you would like to give as feedback, how to make this presentation better moving forward. I know it's a lot of information. Our goal was to touch on and show you where to get the information at the end of the day and to encourage dialogue moving forward. Because, as I said, we're all in this together. Please email either myself or your area director or Lieutenant Governor, and we'll be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you so much, Lori. Tons of valuable information that you have given us to do. I hope that today that you take this information back to your clubs and that you utilize the information, you utilize the support and the resources to make your club be a success in the coming years. Thank you for your time, for spending your morning with us, and hope that you found it very valuable information and that we are here for you on the district level. And if you do have any questions or comments about today's presentation, how to make it better, you can once again contact us, as Lori said. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. Enjoy the first day of summer, sunshine, pools, whatever you do. Hope you have a good day. Thank you for spending your time with us. Lori, did you have something you wanted to say?
I just wanted to see if anyone who would be on that would like to say something, to unmute, but it would be nice if you all put your cameras on, because what I'd like to do, Sheena, can you take a screenshot of everyone with their cameras or with their faces, or should I just do a photo?
I think I can. I will try once we get all on, and if I can't, then we will try something else. Are we all on? Is everybody on that's going to be on? Dorian, Carm, I think a couple people did end up leaving. So at this point, I'll try to see if we can do. So,
is there anything that anyone would like to share?
I think I got the screenshot, but I'm not sure because it took a lot of bandwidth to do that.
Hi, Elizabeth. Did you want to share something, Elizabeth? No? Okay. Anyone else share anything? Great. Well, thank you again for your time, and thank you, Janice, for your kind words.
Mary,
yes, I have a question. Where do you find this on the Zant International? You said this was
the presentation, Mary, will be on our D4 website. You're going to have to give me a little bit. So on.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Great job, ladies.
Yeah.
So just so you know,
this presentation will be on D4, but when you go through the leadership development, you will recognize some slides and things that have been accumulative for this program, because as you can appreciate, Mary, conflict resolution is a 3-hour workshop. Good wow. Communication is a 2-hour workshop.
Okay, thanks a lot.
So where you will,
I didn't get the slides, so I wanted to get this, I wanted to see the slides. Thank you.
Where you'll find the presentation is if you go into kind of where you registered for this program, go into the Leadership Online tab, and on that tab you will find where our this presentation is. And I, in hope, have been recording this and should have this online as well.